Well, he's at it again, folks. Donald Trump just had yet another meltdown in the middle of a press conference. Not to mention, and true to form, he came off about as smart as an inbred dog. Big surprise, right? Welcome back to Occupy Democrats. I'm David Reddish. If you watch our channel on a regular basis, and if not, subscribe right now, people. You know it's been a bonkers week for a whole bunch of reasons. The Iran mess, the Supreme Court decisions, the budget bill, and so on. And apparently it's gotten to the taco president himself. I don't know if we can yet call the man Montezuma's revenge, but he probably smells just as sweet. Earlier today, in yet another rambling and wacko press conference, his second in just 2 days, he started spouting off statements like this.
And I'm putting out a little statement. I'm going to respond to the Ayatollah's statement yesterday that we won the war. Oh, God, we won the war. And I said, look, you're a man of great faith, a man who's highly respected in his country. You have to tell the truth. You got beat to hell. And Israel was beat up too. They were both beat up. And it was a great time to end it.
So now you like the Ayatollah, Don Chipotle? That's going to play well in Israel. Some of Trump's derangement probably has something to do with the fact that the U.S. went through a major contraction in the last month, with consumer spending down a whopping $30 billion. Earlier this week, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell refused to lower interest rates and cited the reason behind the decreased spending: Trump's tariffs. Here's what he said to Congress.
All forecasters are expecting pretty soon that some significant inflation will show up from tariffs. Now, and we can't just ignore that, but we're just saying let's wait and see more. That's all we're doing. And if you will have noticed, a substantial majority of the committee has written down rate cuts in the remaining 4 years, four meetings this year.
And here's how Trump responded.
Because of him, because of this guy, we will have to pay for years. We'll be paying for him. And I said to him, listen, there's no inflation. He says, but maybe there'll be some. That's true. I said, if there is some, what you do is raise the rate. I'm okay with that. You raise the rate in 2 years from now or in a year from now. But because the rate's high, we have to pay more for debt. It's pretty equal. In other words, if it's 4%, it's 4%. If you drop it a point, you'll pay 3%. So it's fairly equal, not necessarily, but fairly equal. So we're going to end up paying maybe 2 points or 3 points more. 3 points would be about $900 billion a year because of this very average mentally person. He's an average mentally person. I'd say low in terms of what he does, low IQ for what he does, okay? Wait, so instead of paying $900 billion, we don't want to pay 900 just because he doesn't want to lower the rate. I said...
And so now, Taco Don is not relenting. After publicly insulting Powell yesterday, and keep in mind, Trump appointed the man to the job, he actually chose him, Trump had this to say today.
We have a man who's not a smart man, and he probably has Trump derangement syndrome, and he's just not a smart person. What he's doing, though, he's hurting us for years to come, because if we borrow money at 2 points higher than we should be paying, that's $600 billion. Wouldn't you say those numbers are about right, Scott? So it's 2 points would be about 600, actually more than that, but about $600 billion, all because the guy doesn't want to lower the rates. He's doing the service, a very disservice, and then he goes up and talks about, I'd like to see costs come down. He gets up and he does his little thing for 5 minutes, and he goes out and he goes back to the beach. He goes, I'd like to see costs come down. Well, he could lower the interest cost by $900 billion a year. All he has to do is lower rates. And everybody's saying, I was watching some of the business shows today, and they're saying, Trump's right. He should really be cutting. The country's doing well.
Now, wait a minute. Trump appointed Powell, but he's not a smart person. What happened to getting all the best people, Donald? And if Trump made a bad choice, what does that say about the whiner-in-chief? And now, I predict Trump and his gremlins will try to blame Joe Biden for all of it. Make no mistake, though, this is the Trump economy, due in large part to Trump's executive orders, and especially due to his tariffs. And in case you've lost track, we have no trade deals despite Trump's public assurances that we do, and now he's talking about throwing down a 25% flat tariff on every country. which is not going to help consumer confidence. For all his touting himself as a business genius, and despite his wealth increasing by billions thanks to crypto grifts that allow him to launder bribes, Trump has no idea how basic economics work. And if he thinks he can intimidate Powell, he has another thing coming. Powell, for all his boring zero-integer charisma, knows how to do his job, and he knows what kind of power he wields, and he knows that he has nothing to fear from Donald Trump. Trump can talk about firing him all he wants, but the same business oligarchs that put Trump in place would rebel if he tried to replace Jerome Powell, as would members of the GOP. Thus, this already overlong movie continues, with Trump whining and the American public groaning in masse. Trump can moan all he wants. He can rattle his tiny saber and call himself a warrior, but none of it can hide the fact that he has no idea what he's doing. And sooner rather than later, the voters are going to let him know. This is Occupy Democrats.